Right, let me see here. Yesterday, worked on this. I'm gonna have a bunch of videos to edit. I think I'm just gonna edit them from live streams now. That way I can take questions. But I got like 45 minutes to kill until I gotta head out to my ex-wife's house. What's up, Mud? Awesome. I didn't think anybody'd be on right now. Um, this is what we worked on yesterday. Not bad, but again, I mean, didn't really. I made the texture right here on the top, but it's just a placement of two separate textures that I actually downloaded. Totally legal. You can totally do it. It's actually the same textures that you get with Substance Painter. The only difference is if you get it with Substance Painter, you don't have to put the disclaimer. And I got to keep telling people about this because it's only a matter of time before they crack down hard. Where is it? Terms of use policy. Right here. You just put this in, and then you're good. I also showed how to go ahead, take this, and add in that little something extra for when you go ahead and try to show off your skins. So this is what it looks like, you know, inside. Well, not really Substance Painter, but that's it in Rust. Again, it breaks it down to 512 by 512. But right here, notice how this is inside the Steam community. I showed how you can go ahead and then take that from here and basically add in your maps so that you get something extra. You get one of these free every month, so make sure that, unless you want to pay for it. So if you are going to make this, no, I am not using Substance Painter. This is all made with Mixer. This is completely with Mixer. So I've just been working a little bit more with it. So basically what I did was I used Mixer to combine the two, make a whole nother texture, and then place it wherever I wanted on the top. And then this is with the other method there that I showed. If you jump in, you can kind of check that out, see how to do that. But, and then with that, with yesterday's stream, because we made something Celtic for St. Patty's Day. But again, textures weren't mine. Today, I'm going to get in to make basically textures that I'll be using for, you know, all different other things from, see if I can pull this up, photos that I took for when I was with my kiddo. And, you know, I had to be a weirdo and start taking pictures of the ground and other things. So we got this. There's a wood texture. That is from my couch. This right here is part of my guitar case. I just thought that was kind of cool. Just little things that we can add on. Mixer? Oh, you haven't been around for a little bit, Mod. Mixer is something that you can get from Quixel. It's free. You can get a bunch of textures in Mixer, but it's only if you're going to use them for the Unreal Engine or a Unity project that you have made. So like, you know, this is the Celt top that I made right here. I basically jumped into this and I made my Celtic top out of that, and then from there I just incorporated it into my Celtic box, which then I threw it onto a mesh, and we got this right here. Oh, holy God. Let's see here. Celt top. Sometimes you got to mess with the opacity and the height frequency just a tad. So 9, 8. That'll bring it down a little bit. Let's throw up the height frequency from the top. Usually when you convert it back over here, it's working with such high. This I believe is what 20. No, this is 4K. This is what they're talking about when you go ahead and you make 4K images, and when you use 4K images, it's still experimental in Mixer. But we learned that yesterday. And then I found if you messed with it just a little bit, it'll start to deteriorate and degrade it just a bit. All the way up, all the way down. Mess with the threshold. Just start to get these to reprocess and rework themselves. Anyways, it didn't look like that. It's easier when you're actually into it. As you start to rework it a little bit, it will. I mean, again, it's a free program. Where did I put? There we go. So, you know me. I'm a freebie hunter. But it's the same thing that you can do in the Substance Painter. Alright, so that actually looks like the specular maps and the metal. Anyways, but you guys get the basic idea. If you check out that stream, it should be underneath my videos with a whole bunch of other ones. So again, the reflections are a mixture of the roughness and the metalness. Here, let's exit out of this. File close. Here, we're gonna do a new mix. We're gonna do 2K because you know I don't learn, and I'm just gonna call it new text. Oh wait, hold on, new project. Sample mixes. Let's get rid of these. That comes with it. New project textures. I do? Oh. New textures. And I'm just going to go ahead and I have no mixes in this project. So file, new mix. There we go. 20 by 48. Okay, so 2048. And this one will be, let's use the, that is kind of blurry. I don't like that. It's way too close. I'm going to have to retake a couple of these. This one didn't come out too bad. This is all right. So we'll call this plaster. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and make some plaster, and then from there I can make other things on there. I also, to make the symbol on top, I used Inkscape, which is free. And that's using SVG, Scalable Vector Graphics. So the scalable vector graphics, we'll get into that after, because I don't know, I'll make an X on this to show you guys what to do real quick. I got a little bit of time. So, yeah, I'm going to get back into the AK. Everybody's obsessed with the AK, but God, there's so many components to it that it's like, I don't even work that hard on my game or project or whatever that I'm working on. I'm not going to do that for somebody else's, just have it shot down like a Russian MiG over airspace, you know. So this will be plaster. Jump back into mixer, plaster. Okay. Do you want to save changes? No, I do not want to save. I do not want to mess that up even more. So we got 2048 layers. Okay, cool. So first things first, we got to jump into here. Right click, new folder, plaster. And I'm just going to throw that right in there. And I'm going to use the almighty GIMP. Where are you, GIMP? Open with. Well, that's loading up. I use Seamless Jpeg. This was also in how to make your own textures. Again, just click on my videos section underneath my channel. And this basically what it does is it takes whatever you have for a picture and then it cuts out the seams. So it takes 4 pictures, so 4 512s, and then it turns it into 1024, and then 2048, so on and so forth. And then right here, notice how it takes basically the darkness from here, and it turns it into one uniform texture that you can use, so that there's no shading. Because the problem is when you just go ahead and you jump right into materialize, and you have these dark spots, it's gonna make this look round. You definitely, yeah, how you make stuff glow at night. You definitely don't want that. Yeah, those are illumination textures, or what do they call them? This doesn't support it, Quixel Mixer, at the moment, but it's just an extra map that you can make, and it's the same thing as a height map. The lightest is the most amount of glow that you can possibly get from it with whatever color you're using. And then, black is, or the darkest is how much light is restricted from it. So we're gonna need blender too. We'll do that. We'll make something all shiny and then we'll throw it in. We'll probably like put it on a shirt or something. But for right now, we're just gonna make some textures. I want to get those in for when I start doing another stream later on tonight. So we're gonna keep the original because it really doesn't matter. And yeah, let's keep everything the same. All right. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna file new, and of course, 512 by 512 because the resolution on my camera I can't do 1024. Jump back to this, Control A, Control C, and Control V. And then from there, I just gotta look for, I don't know, whatever one I want. I mean, to me, it all looks pretty much the same. This doesn't look bad. That actually looks pretty good. So I'm going to do that, and then File, Export As. We will do, where's Desktop? Textures, Plaster, and then we'll do 512. There we go. Export that. Yeah, fine. Bring up the quality. Why not? This should be in our folder now. There it is. So we know this is 512, and then 512 times 2. Okay. So now that we're in here, we just got to choose our file. Textures, plaster. Here's our 512. What did they use for this one? This is number 4B. Oh, pre-average dark and light. That's where it changes the dark and light. For this was 20. I believe this one was 30. we'll use 20 on that one. So 4B and 30. So choosing 4B, seamless texture of 2x2. Yeah, we don't want to see the seams or the edges. Don't need that. And we're going to do 20. Radius, we're going to keep 5. Additional settings, no. And we're going to make it a without compression and loss of quality. Sure. So I'm going to do that. Okay. It's uploading. Okay. So we're going to open up the process texture just to see how it worked out. That's 0 loss of quality. And let's save this image underneath desktop. And then we need to go into textures, plaster. We'll do a new one. Finish. Again, photo that I took. Now we have this plaster texture right here. And we can go ahead and take a look at finish. Details. Okay, 512 by 512. So let's take a look at that same texture on a tile. So this is tiled 512 by 512. Do you just put the textures in the Rust editor? Like, no. Okay, I gotta go soon, but here's one more question. How do you put it in Rust when you're done with... Yeah, no, you gotta basically, again, check out those tutorials or check out, I'll be on tonight or I'll be on later. What you do is you basically, when you put in the model, so here, let's pull up Blender real quick. I'll show you real quick what I did with this. Come on. Kelp box. What you do is you assign where you want to put your textures with these colors. You choose them, then you pick a color with a download that you got. So you're still using Blender. And then each color that you assign to is a different texture. So that when you pull up Mixer, where are you? Save. So when you pull up Mixer, oh no, new textures. We're gonna name this plaster. Oh, sure, now it wants to work. So when you pull this up right here, it's actually the same textures that you have from right here. You just give colors to a specific area, and then from there, the textures that you make, you assign them to that section. And then you can change the tiling and, mess around with pretty much anything you want. I'm just making the textures right now that from pictures that I took to put on to various models. I'm going to use the box for this one, for a couple of my textures, just so I can get an idea. And then I want to see how some of the cloth textures work on like burlap and whatnot. But while I have time, because I got to go out and I got to meet up with somebody, I'm just trying to make a couple textures. Figured I'd live stream anything because I don't know when I'm really going to be able. I've been doing a lot of tree work lately. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to get to do all that. But again, you assign your textures, and assigning a texture is as simple as, I'll have to look up what it is that I use here. Text tools. If you look up text tools, it's a free download and plugin. And then from there, you just choose what you want from there, what section. Again, you don't have to mess with anything. And another difference is you scale up this model right here. And then when you import the model over into, it's basically anything that you would have to do with Substance Painter anyways. It's just a different program. When you import the model into here, it's just a larger model. But, you know, same thing. You can notice where the corners are. And you can go through the, you know, the diffuse. I believe this is the specular. The normal map is right here. 7 is, I forget what this is. This is your AO. This right here is not your depth. I keep calling it a depth map, and that's the incorrect terminology. It's displacement. Displacement, depth, and bump maps are all the same thing. It's just different terminology. It's like specular and gloss. There's only a couple little things that are different over it. And then from there, you know, I just took this material right here and I told it, okay, hey, look, I want a specular of this color. And then I took the symbol, I injected it on there, and then rose up the bottom. So, you know, I made this, you know, little symbol out of what, this right here. Again, it's all in yesterday's stream. So, like, when you get a chance, just, you know, pop through that. But through Inkscape. And then I used SVG graphics so I can get a, you know, direct point and then raise and lower whatever I made without losing picture quality. And I mean, it really does show when you're done with everything. These are not owned by anybody because they are literally hundreds, if not thousands of years old. So I'm not really worried about using. I don't think the ghosts are going to sue me. I could be wrong. It is 2021. Who knows? So we're all done with this. Discard changes. Jumping back all over the place here. So this is our 512. Let me see here. Is that the one? Yeah, that's it. Okay. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to save this image as 512, 1024. Underneath finish. And underneath the 1024, we have check the properties to make sure that the two match. And it is. It's 1024 and 1024. So that's how you can tell it's truly seamless. You took your 512 and then you matched it up. So this is a 512, 512, 512. It's basically 512 squared. And you're good to go, or to the fourth power. Whichever. I mean, I've never been a big math guy. So now that we have this, then we can go ahead and we can just jump into materialize and we can work our magic from there. Now keep in mind, this is all uniform, one color, which is what we wanted for the sole purpose that black is basically going to be going down, white's going to be going up. And we're not working with a green color. We're working more with a white beige because I can just go ahead, I can take that color and then put a tint to it later to make a different type of color map. So let's open up our diffuse map. And we are going to jump right into textures, plaster, and I believe 512 JPEG. It's because the other one I believe is a PNG, right? (1024) PNG. I don't understand why that's not. All right, whatever. We'll use 512, and then we can just go from there. because we got to import it anyways. We know that it's a seamless texture. It'll still work. All right. Open up our height map, which we don't have. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to create a height map. I know that this is going to be a lower spot here, which I guess it's kind of showing. Let's see what it looks like when we show our full material on it. Set the height map, show the full material. That's actually not too bad. And then we can create our normal map. And then we're going to need a roughness map, which is also smoothness. This, I don't want it to be shiny at all. I mean, I guess it's kind of working, so let's try this again. Let's create another smoothness. We'll bring up our base contrast, show full material. Oh. All right. Set as smoothness, show full material. Yeah, okay, so the darker that it is, the less smooth that it is. We're going to recreate our smoothness map, bring down our base smoothness, and then it's not going to be metallic at all. Set as smoothness, show full material. Perfect. So now we kind of have that painty look to it. All right, sweet, dude. Take care. So now that we have this basic texture and there's no seams, you know, if you tile them, it's not going to look like that there's two different textures right next to each other. It's going to go uniformly across. And we need to create our normal map, which, I mean, we're not really dealing with anything too crazy. I do want to kind of try to get these bumps out of here because we don't need those. So we can kind of mess with the final contrast itself. And if not, we can do smooth. And that'll smooth out a lot of those, iron them out. So we'll set that, and then we can just go ahead. And then from there, we can go ahead. We can save all these metallic edge. We also want an AO. So we got to create an ambient occlusion map. I'm going to bring up the bias just down a little bit. Oh, it's starting to tear. These tears won't have anything. It'll look pretty funky. So, you know what? I'm not going to mess with it too much. We're going to set it as AO. Show full material. There we go. Now any outside interference will actually jump onto that texture. And we're going to save this as a PNG. You can do Jpeg too, or TIFF. TGA I don't recommend. BMP. I mean, TIFF is going to be huge, wildly insane amount of stuff that you're going to have to really work with for information. But this isn't bad. This is kind of like this is actually my painted wall. You can go from here. And then for our full material, you can mess around with, like, you know, other things too. But for now, this is fine. So we're going to save the height map as 512 height. We're going to save 512 underscore normal. Smoothness, same thing. 512 rough. And then save the AO as 512 AO. So now that we got these, we can go ahead and jump back into Mixer. File, open, new textures, plaster. All right, so with this setup, this is going to be a 20 by 48 plane, 2 by 2 meters. We're going to do 4 by 4 meters. It's still going to be squared, but it's going to be a lot larger. So, you know, we'll have a bigger area to work with. And then we can go ahead and, so we'll have like 512, 512, 512, 512 by 512, 512, 512, 512. If that makes any sense on a 2048 pixel plane. And now we just import. Oh no! So our plaster is done. And I'm gonna throw this in with the rest of these. Oh, that's why. Okay, I didn't do that correctly. This actually doesn't look too bad, so I'm not going to mess with it per se. But let's open finish 1024. There we go. And now we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to set as height map. Create, set as normal map. Create, set as smoothness. Create, set as AO. Show full material. There we go. That looks pretty much the same here. All right. So, height map, we are going to save, even though it's not 512, we'll do 1024. Height, diffuse, we will save 1024. Diffuse. We know that these are seamless. The other one was not. That was the one that we uploaded. There we go, 1024. Norm. And same with the smoothness. Save as 1024 smoothness. We'll do smooth. Last one, AO. All right, so this one map won't be a 4x4 anymore. We're just going to have it as a 2x2. So 2 of these over next to each other. And again, you know, materialize. There we go. We'll jump down by 2x2. And we could do a 3x3 as well, but 2x2 at the working resolution of 2048 isn't bad. 3x3 is still, I haven't really worked with that, but why not? All right, so underneath library, you're going to import your custom surface. And you have your diffuse underneath desktop. And we have textures, plaster. Okay. And let's go back into here, because we haven't used anything. Plaster, DD. So I know it's one that I made. And then I'm going to go ahead, and from there I'm going to open up C, tutorial, textures. And these are all the ones that I keep in the area for the other one. And then I just take plaster DD. Let's throw this right on the side. Come on. Jump out. We got this right here. Come on, Windows. move to textures. Plaster DD. There we go. And our diffuse will be 1024. We are going to use albedo. There's 1024 diffuse. Smoothness. Roughness. So gloss we're going to take out of there, because there is no gloss. Roughness is, oh, so it's the exact opposite on this one. But that's okay. Specular AO, normal map, height. They kind of plug themselves in. You just want to check them over a couple different times. Let's get that out of there. Gloss. All right, I'm just going to use the diffuse for those. Because again, those are some pretty light colors, and that's not really going to give any sheen to it. So next area, what do we say, 2x2? And then plaster DD. And the more you bring the height up, the more bumpness it's going to have. And we'll just throw the 10 in there. There we go. Our category is going to be my textures, so that I know, you know, I'm good to go. Import that in. And that's it. That's all you really need to do. Now I have plaster DD. Throw that in there. Underneath my layers, I want to make sure that it is, where's my placement? Nope. Is it placement? Bring out the height frequency. Yeah. Okay, so it is placement. It is tiling. We want that. And then right here, we got to bring up the threshold so that it's above our base layer. See how we drop it and it goes below it? And the reason why you do that is because you can actually make this base layer a level of different things. If we wanted to, we could actually attach this to our base layer by putting on, actually, let's do that. I believe we have 1024 diffuse. We'll do the same thing with the roughness. 1024 diffuse. So it's still a little bit shiny, but not by much. Displacement is going to be our height map. Our normals, same thing. We're going to load up our normals. Now the only problem is on your base layer, there's really not much you can do. You're making that the bottom part. You can't really do much with it. You're sort of stuck. And then occlusion is AO. So, I mean, you could do that too. But again, this will be your base layer. It's absolutely, it makes it better for when you're editing and trying to do something just on this. So, for example, I can go ahead into my local library from here. I can take the, what's one that would protrude through it? I am now up to 26 textures. Not bad. All right, so I can go ahead. I can take this steel battered, and then I can add a paint layer, and we'll make the Celtic shape that I had last night. Underneath textures, where is Celtic? Celtic set brush. Here we go. Bring that below here. I'm going to shut off that displacement. I'm going to make a 5, and I'm going to bring up the size. So now that I have this imprinted onto here, I can go ahead and then I can take my steel battered texture. I can have it come from below or do opacity masked, and I can bring up the threshold. But again, see how the bottom layer, it's going along the lines of the bottom layer? That's because our base layer has the displacement on it. Remove our normals, remove our displacement. There we go. Awesome. Same thing with our roughness. All right, so all this I believe is back to normal. Albedo, remove. All right. And then we have steel battered here. And basically, I want to go ahead and I want to take this paint layer, take my displacement, bring up the strength, and then I can actually bring down the threshold. Paint, displacement, bring that all the way up. And now I can bring down the threshold so it sinks into those like a liquid. You can use a liquid too, but then you're not going to get the texture out of it. So again, we have this. Now I can go ahead, I can take the plaster, throw that on there, and I can have that come from above. And again, with the threshold. And then I can have it wrap to the underlying layer. So yeah, that would be actually a great time to put this on. I just don't know if I should have made it more. Opacity strength. So base layer, what did I do? Oh, there we go. Textures, plaster, 1024. And then we'll get rid of the plaster on here. And we have our steel. So this is actually 100% my texture. And then we have the shininess here because of what we used with the steel battered. If we don't want to use the steel battered and we want to use a liquid, we can kind of add a liquid layer to that as well. And that's because this is kind of pretend there's a liquid going over it. But again, you can drop the threshold so it sinks into those. And you'll only get that right there. And you can change the color of it as well. I'll be doing more on this. Let's see here, roughness. I am definitely going to be bringing down the roughness. So that kind of gives like a light to it. Not an illumination, but you can make an illumination texture out of that. But you guys get the basic idea. So again, I'll be messing with that tonight. This is going to be part of the texture series that I'm making. And then we'll go ahead, we'll put everything together. But I definitely like the Celtic thing that we were doing there. Little advice when you're making layers and paint layers, if you're going to do two separate, like, where is it? Displacement sort of modifiers or whatever, you are definitely going to want to change. You want to make two separate layers. Because if you put them on one layer, you're not going to be able to decipher, edit between the two, or really change anything, so to speak. So I can use right here a totally different. Where is Celtic Set brush? Here's the other one that I made. I'm going to scale this down on size. Sort of zoom in here. Bring down the size a little bit more. So, there we go. Got another one there. Take your liquid, delete the liquid. We're going to add a layer. It will be a solid. But from here, we're going to go ahead and, he was asking about the roughness. I'm going to bring the roughness down so that it's reflective. I'm also going to bring my metalness up so that it looks more metal and shiny like. And then from there, I can just take the threshold and then fill it right in. And then if I want, I can make it like a gold or, yeah. So solid. Where is the LB? There we go. I can make it like a bright gold. That is like a puke gold. And there we go. I mean, we got that layer right there. If you wanted two separate layers, again, that's where you would get into your base and everything like that. I also highly suggest when you're dealing with that, wrap to the underlying layer so that you can kind of mess with the smoothing and your radius going up. See how it's doing that? While preserving details. But let's blur the underlying and bring up the wrap. And that's where you'll start to really mess with how it's blurred and filled in. There we go. Again, we're working with other displacements, but now it's not as hard around the bigger areas. When you're working with smaller maps, it's going to get a little delicate and a little fragile. But there you go. So yeah, you get the idea. Anyways, I got the plaster one in there. I do got to go. So take care, and then